everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. My name's Alice and today's video is my Victober TBR, and it's quite an ambitious one. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video is all about my Victober TBR, and I've chosen a lot of Victorian books from my giant bookshelf mostly to hopefully read in the month of October. Hello Harry. This is my cat Harry. He likes to make cameo appearances in the videos, and today we're going to be reading some Victorian fiction. Harry, would you like to read some Victorian books? Yeah, you're going to stay? Okay, so I've got my Dickens mug. Let's talk about Victorian books. So Victober is a month-long readathon hosted by three great channels: Kate Howe, Katie at Books and Things, and Lucy the Reader. I strongly advise that you go and check out their channels, which I will have linked in the description box down below. To find out more about Victober, head over to see their channels. This is my first Victober, so I'm very excited about it, and it basically is all about reading Victorian literature in the month of October. So without any further ado, let's see what books we have and what challenges there are. So there are 4 challenges and a bonus challenge. I'm going to be talking you through each one and telling you which books I have selected. I have got a couple of library books here in my pile, but mostly I have ransacked the giant bookshelf because I do have a TBR of over 200 books still to get through. So let's get going. First of all, there is a group read for the month, and the group read is going to be the book Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell, which I have managed to obtain from my library. I didn't actually know that Elizabeth Gaskell wrote Gothic Tales. I do love a spooky tale, especially at this time of year, so I think this is going to be absolutely perfect for autumn and October, and I don't know anything else about it other than it is short stories, and I'm hoping they're going to be nice and spooky, and I absolutely love this gothic looking front cover. So Gothic Tales will be my first read for Victober, and I'm going to be joining in with the group read for this one. The first challenge, Kate's challenge, is read a sensation novel. Now unfortunately I read one of the most famous sensation novels, Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, a couple of months ago, so I won't be reading that this month, but I do have some other books on my bookshelf, and I thought for this one I would choose a book called Wilder's Hand by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. I know that Le Fanu wrote several sensation novels, sort of crime type novels, and this has come from my classic crime set, which I also had Lady Audley's Secret in, and this one says on the back, "The Wilders and the Brandons share a history of intermarriage, bitter rivalry, villainy and madness. The wedding of Mark Wilder to his rich and beautiful cousin Dorcas Brandon was to inaugurate a harmonious new era at Brandon Hall. But as the ceremony draws near, Mark disappears without a trace, leaving Dorcas in shock and the assembled family in a state of severe agitation. And when Mark's letters arrive back at the hall, postmarked from Europe, the sinister figure of Captain Stanley Lake emerges from the wings to claim Dorcas as his own." First published in 1864, Wilder's Hand was one of J. Sheridan Le Fanu's most popular novels, but has been largely neglected until now. It is a nerve-jangling tale of jealousy and murder for fans of the grisly and gripping. So even though this is quite a large tome, I am really looking forward to getting into this. I've owned it for a long time and I had no real idea of what it was about, so I am looking forward to getting to this in Victober. Yeah, it looks like a juicy one. So that's going to be my sensation novel for the month. Katie's challenge is to read a book set in the city and or the countryside. I really couldn't make up my mind for this, but I thought I'd better go with a book off my bookshelf because there are already 2 books on this TBR from the library, and I do want to get my TBR down below 200 in the very near future. So I've gone with Raffles, another one from my crime classics. This one's quite a lot thinner, so hopefully I'll be able to get to it this month. And this is about Raffles, who is a public school cad and master burglar with an aptitude for cricket and a passion for crime. A lovable rogue who steals from the rich not to give to the poor, but rather to subsidise his own splendid lifestyle. He has an unimpeachable address at Albany and St James. Along with his sidekick, his former schoolmate and fellow gambler, Harry Bunny Masters, he embarks on a series of thefts. But will they get away with it? First published in 1899, Raffles was an immediate success. With Raffles, the scoundrel in an evening suit, Hornung created an irresistible alternative to Sherlock Holmes. So, I believe that E.W. Hornung, who wrote this, was the brother-in-law of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote the Sherlock Holmes books, which I love. Yes, he was married to Constance Doyle, the sister of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah, so I believe this one's set in London, so it should qualify as set in the city, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Now, Lucy's challenge is to read a book with a female main character, and again I've had to borrow this one from the library, but I think that's okay because I really want to read this, and it's also going to be a buddy read. So it's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte that I've chosen. I've actually never read any of Anne Bronte's work. I've read Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I've read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've yet to read any of Anne's work, and I've heard really, really good things about them, especially this one. So I'm hoping to read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall this month, and I'm going to be buddy reading it with Nikki from Red Dot Reads. I will link her channel in the description below so that you can go and check out her fabulous book content. And yeah, we're going to be reading this in the month of October. Well, the back says this is a sensational, hard-hitting and passionate tale of marital cruelty, which sees a mysterious new tenant at Wildfell Hall, Helen Graham, unmasked not as a wicked woman, as the local gossips would have it, but as the estranged wife of a brutal alcoholic bully, desperate to protect her son. Using her own experiences with her brother Branwell to depict the cruelty and debauchery from which Anne flees, Anne Bronte wrote her masterpiece to reflect the fragile position of women in society and her belief in universal redemption. So that's all I really know about The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, but I am really looking forward to getting into this one in October. Right, next there is a group challenge, and the group challenge is to read a popular Victorian novel. I've decided, after much deliberation, to read The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is contained in my complete works of Oscar Wilde, which I'm ashamed to say I've actually never opened or read anything from it. I have owned this for years. So I thought I would read The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is the first book in this collection for this prompt. Of reading a popular Victorian novel. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a book that I've wanted to get to for a very long time. It's a story that I feel like I sort of know some things about already, as is often the case with classics and Victorian literature in general. So hopefully that will be another good read in Victober. Now, the bonus challenge for Victober is to read some of a book aloud or listen to an audiobook. I definitely wanted to read some Dickens because so far I've only read 3 Dickens, but I have really enjoyed all of them. And the 3 that I've read are Bleak House, Great Expectations and David Copperfield. So I really wanted to read Our Mutual Friend, which I've heard is another really, really good one. I'm not really sure if I will get to a book that big this month because of all the other things I've just shown you, but I thought I could perhaps, if I don't read any of these aloud or listen to these on an audiobook. I have managed to get hold of Our Mutual Friend on audiobook. It's now included in your subscription if you're subscribed to Audible. There's 2 different versions available, so I've chosen to download both and see which one I like, and I may listen to that all the way through the month and see how I get on with it, but I would expect that it's a book that might take me a little bit longer than others, and both of these audiobooks come in at 34 hours and 57 minutes and 35 hours and 32 minutes, so they're both very long, as you would expect from a Dickens, so we will see if I get to those this month. As I don't think I'll be able to read a whole Dickens as well as all these other books, I do have one work by Dickens on my shelf, and it's probably the tiniest book on my shelf at only 52 pages, and that is Dickens' ghost story, The Signalman. And I think this will be perfect to read around Halloween time. I do like to read some spooky stories at that time of year, and it's got a really beautiful cover. So I think I'm going to read this spooky short story to make sure that I get some Dickens into my Victober. And it will also cross another book off the giant TBR, so that would be great. The only other book that I couldn't decide where to fit it in, that I might hopefully get to this month, but I don't know, is the other Victorian classic, Treasure Island. I'm hoping, because this is a children's classic, I might be able to get through it in Victober as well, but I am aware that my TBR is already quite ambitious with this being the 7th book on it, so we'll see how I get on. I would really like to read this, as I don't think I've read it. I think I was read this as a child, but I've never read it in adulthood, and I know there's a lot of booktubers who really love this book, so I would like to get to it in Victober if possible. Yeah, for some piratey goodness in Victober. So that is another possibility on my TBR. And that's all really for Victober. I do have... I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do have a few more books that I also want to get to in October that are not Victorian, and I'll just give them a mention here because, yeah, this one I will be definitely getting to because this is going to be a group read for me, and that is Hawksmoor by Peter Ackroyd, and I'm going to be group reading this with Sandy from Ms Reads a Lot and Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads. So I'm really looking forward to a group read with those two, and I've been told it's very sort of sinister and a bit scary, so I'm looking forward to reading that, and I think we're doing our group read along around mid-month, so that's another good one that I will be getting into in October despite it not being Victorian. So that will be my break from Victorian literature. Also this month I will be participating again in Christie Fest, and the Christie Fest book this month is The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side by Agatha Christie. This is a Miss Marple book. Unfortunately I think I do remember the solution to this one vaguely, but it was one that I really enjoyed first time round, so I'm hoping to really enjoy the reread. This is about, well, it says on the back, 1 minute silly Heather Badcock had been babbling on at her movie idol, the glamorous Marina Gregg. The next, Heather suffered a massive seizure poisoned by a deadly cocktail. It seems likely that the cocktail was intended for the beautiful actress, but while the police fumble to find clues, Miss Marple begins to ask her own questions, because she knows even the most peaceful village can hide dark secrets. This is one of the Marples that I've really enjoyed in the past, and I also really love the title coming from the poem The Lady of Shalott, so I'm looking forward to reading this right at the beginning of the month. And I will link the hosts of Christie Fest, Julie at Hungry Bookworm and Lil at Lil's Vintage World. I'll link their channels in the description down below in case you want to get involved in Christie Fest. Finally for this month is another Agatha Christie reread, and that is Halloween Party. It is of course the perfect month to give Halloween Party a reread, and I have this one and I also have this as a graphic novel, so I think I will probably read both, but this is going to be a spooky read along, also hosted by Kate Howe, who's hosting Victober. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to discussing this with some fellow spooky readers, and that's going to be happening at the end of the month appropriately. There's a little bit of a trigger warning attached to this book, which is that it does involve a child death, controversially for Christie because she doesn't normally do that. But yes, a 13-year-old is murdered in this one, so maybe don't try Halloween Party as an Agatha Christie book if that's something that you don't like to read about. I am looking forward to reading this. It's another one featuring Ariadne Oliver, who I think is an absolutely great character, so I'm looking forward to a little cheeky Halloween reread of this one. You'll be pleased to know that is now the end of my Victober and Ordinary October TBR. I feel I may have been a bit overly ambitious as usual, but even if I read some of these, I will be really pleased with myself. Yeah, I think there's plenty of variety in the TBR, so I'm looking forward to getting started with it now and really looking forward to my first Victober. Please do comment down below if you'd like to chat to me about any of these books, or please do let me know what you plan to read for Victober. Even if it's just one Victorian book that you'd like to get to for the month, I would love to hear which one it's going to be and whether you're going to be joining in with the readathon in October. Harry, are you going to be joining in with Victober? Yeah? Good boy. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do make videos about books on a very regular basis, and I would love to have you here on my channel. I'll be hoping to make some more videos throughout Victober, letting you know how I'm getting on with my Victorian reading, and I also have a video planned about some of my favourite Victorian stories, which do feature in the background of my videos now. I wonder if you can guess what that's going to be. Let me know in the comments what you think my Victober video will be about, and I will hopefully see you again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.